All right, friends, this is when I need your thoughts and prayers. This is the preparation for making what the recipe calls ultimate cinnamon rolls. There are, please count them, 3 kinds of sugar that will be present in the rolls, 2 full sticks of butter, some yeast, some cinnamon, cream cheese for the frosting, milk. Don't be fooled by that 2% sign. This is nothing healthy going on at all. And of course, flour. This is happening. Welcome. Quarantine cinnamon rolls. So my friend Jeff, who is an actual scientist and known for being generally a practical and logical person, recently suggested that we lacked cinnamon rolls here in quarantine. And I'm the guy who's been doing all the baking, and so he suggested that perhaps I should make cinnamon rolls. This is a terrible idea. Let's be clear. This is a terrible idea. There is 2 full sticks of butter in this recipe overall. Now, they break it down for you and call it 12 tablespoons here and 4 tablespoons there, but it is a ½ pound of butter that is going into this particular cinnamon roll recipe, along with all the other things you see here and more. But you know what? It's quarantine and I don't care, so I'm doing it. So we are following, as I often do, Cooks Illustrated's best cinnamon rolls. I think they're called Ultimate Cinnamon Rolls recipe. So let's get started. I've got some ingredients laid out here. I've got some boiling water going over there. That will become important later. I've got a pan prepped over there. You can't actually see me pointing, but you know, I'm working on that. So let's just get this going. So I think, what does it want us to do? So we've done all that. We want to put, let's see. All right, water boiling. Okay, stand mixer, dough hook, 4½ cups of flour going into the stand mixer right now, gently. Ooh, with a little poof, without making a huge mess. Oh, bigger poof. Okay, flour, check. And, oh, I'm not supposed to do that yet. Okay, before even that, we actually take the yeast. This is 2¼ teaspoons of yeast that gets put into some warm milk at about 110 degrees, and that just went in the microwave for about 30 seconds. So we're kind of waking the yeast up here, whisking the yeast, that's hard to say, until it's dissolved, with this very tiny whisk. Yeah, so that's done. And then we're now supposed to add, I think we now add the eggs, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, yeast together till yeast dissolves, which is more or less dissolved. Okay, we're gonna call that dissolved. And then we add these 3 eggs. Someday when I am a real boy, I will learn to crack an egg with 1 hand. I don't know how to do that now, so I'm gonna use 2 hands. So egg number 1, egg number 2, egg number 3. There's all sorts of people who have strong opinions. Hold that thought while I turn the stove off of the boiling water. There's all sorts of people who have strong opinions about whether you should crack an egg on the edge of something or crack an egg on a flat surface. And the prevailing wisdom that I have heard is flat surface is all the rage, because if you crack an egg on the edge of something, you run the risk of getting eggshells in the thing that you're cracking an egg into, and that would be really bad. I think that's crap. Every time I've tried to crack an egg on a flat surface, it basically just bashes the thing and makes a bunch of little shell shards that go everywhere. And I've never gotten large chunks of shell in whatever I'm cooking. A little bit of shell, who cares about that? Okay, eggs, milk, and yeast are ready. We're gonna put that over there. What else is happening now? I've got the flour in here. That's all done. This is, shockingly, do you know what that is? Guess, I'll just give you a moment while you're thinking. Cornstarch. If you guessed cornstarch, you were right. It's a ½ cup of cornstarch. Now what I believe is that cornstarch does something specific and awesome, but I don't know what it is. I'm just following the recipe. Sugar, ½ cup of white granulated sugar in there. Almost forgot some. And salt. This is a 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Boink. That goes in there. All right. Again, my fancy little cooking show bowls are super dope. All right, I think that's all my stuff. Let's see. Okay, now I combine these just to kind of get them going. So, la, 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 la. All right. Low speed until combined. They're combined. Oh, add warm milk in a steady stream and mix until the dough comes together about 1 minute. All right, let's try it. I want you to note my steady stream action here. I majored in steady stream in college. That's a lie. There's little chunks of my yeast in there. This whole idea of dissolving the yeast in a liquid, I've never seen yeast actually dissolve in a liquid. It sort of mixes in and leaves little chunks, but I haven't seen it dissolve. Okay, so this goes for about a minute. I'm gonna need a rubber spatula. Until I started doing so much cooking, I don't know what I ever did without rubber spatulas. I have so many rubber spatulas. I wonder what pioneer cooks did instead of rubber spatulas. They probably used their hands. All right, let's see what's happening in my recipe. That's coming together. It's a little floury right now, kind of spilling around. All right. Okay, so this dough comes together. Let's give it a little scrape down. It definitely is not coming together yet, but I have a lot of faith. I have made this recipe before. I don't make it often. Again, there's a pound of butter in this recipe. It's kind of amazing. What we're gonna do is actually put all the dough together and then make a filling, roll it out, and then make the rolls. You'll see how all that happens in a minute. And then it will actually go in the refrigerator overnight and we'll do its final rise in the refrigerator, and then we'll bake in the morning. So that's what makes this a really super duper recipe. Is it's relatively easy to do in the evening and then set up for the next morning to be baked. So super cool. All right, still coming together. Let's do another little scrape down. It's pretty dry right now, but we have all this butter still to go in, so I'm not gonna try to add any additional liquid at this point. But I think I'm gonna start chucking the butter in there. So this is butter. This is a stick and a half of butter that has been going at, resting rather at room temperature to make it easy to get in. So doink. Just gonna toss these in one at a time. That was 2, I don't know how many they are. These are stuck together. I'm not going to separate them. All right, let's give it a minute to catch up here. I don't use this dough hook attachment very often. It's sort of cool though. Makes me feel very fancy to use the dough hook, I don't mind saying. All right, I'm just gonna keep chucking butter in there. It seems to be coming together very slowly, which I guess you can see, at least on the edges. In theory, this is the fun thing about making dough. In theory, this is gonna become like a super duper ball of dough in a way that we expect dough to look like. Right now, it just looks like a mess. But you know, that's the magic of cooking, right? I'm gonna turn that up a little bit, just to give it a little more kick. All right, continuing to toss butter in, a little chunk at a time. It's funny, they say let the butter come to room temperature. This butter has sat out for easily 3 hours, and it's absolutely room temperature, but it is Seattle in the spring, so my house is probably 68 degrees, so room temperature for me is really not all that warm, so the butter is soft, but not that soft. But that's all right. Still chucking more pieces in. Make the stand next to work harder. Ooh, it's making a mess now. All right, we're gonna back off because it's now throwing things out. It still's pretty dry. I don't know, I might have to add a little bit more milk in here, but let's see what it does once I get all of my butter in. Here, I'll see so you can show when tossing those in. Oh yeah, it's becoming very dough-like. All right, it's the magic of recipes. I know, when I watch these cooking show videos, and I watch a lot of cooking show videos, people are always kind of winging it, it seems. I'm not winging it, I got a recipe, you can't see it, it's right there. I'm reading it as I go. All right, so now we'll see what happens. With a minute, put the butter in one piece at a time and mix until incorporated. Continue to mix until the dough is smooth. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this next part because it's supposed to basically just do this for the next 10 minutes. So, there you go. All right, I'm back with this dough. It didn't go quite as long in the stand mixer as they said it would. They said about 10 minutes, and it actually went about 7 or 8 minutes. But it said until it cleared the side of the bowl, and mine cleared the side of the bowl pretty quickly. I don't know if you saw in the fast video, but I added about a tablespoon of milk kind of halfway through, and that helped it out a little bit, but it's still a little stiffer than I would expect. So I didn't want to keep it going. So we took it out. Now we flour this cool work surface that I have. I bought this a little while ago. We dump our dough out, and this just gets kneaded for a bit until it starts to look like dough. All right, I'm gonna speed this one up too so you don't have to watch the kneading part. All right, here's our dough. This is a little drier than I expected. It might just be because I'm so used lately to working with sourdough doughs that are very wet, but this is ready to go. So we're gonna put this into this greased bowl and cover it with plastic. Right. Transfer bowl to medium, greased bowl, cover bowl tightly with plastic wrap. That's me. All right. Plastic wrap cover. Tightly covered. Excellent. And it goes into the oven. The oven is not on because that would be bad, but I do have this handy dandy pot of boiling water, kettle of boiling water. So I'm going to pour some boiling water into a pan in the cold oven, and that's going to create, they tell me, I just made a huge mess in my oven. That's going to create a humid environment that makes it easy, and a warm environment because of the boiling water, that makes it easier for the dough to rise. I, of course, asked the question, what good is a humid environment when I just tightly wrapped the bowl with plastic on top? But whatever, I just do what I'm told. So we'll be back in like 2 hours. So while the dough is doing its thing in the oven and rising, doubling, I'm gonna get the filling ready. So I've got 1.5 cups of packed brown sugar. It said light brown sugar, but I don't have light brown sugar. I like dark brown better, so I'm using that. So I have 1.5 cups of that, to which I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, which is quite a lot. My tablespoon doesn't fit, so let's figure that out. 1.5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. Maybe I have a 1/2 tablespoon thing somewhere. Here, why don't I just do this and make it difficult for myself? So this is a teaspoon I'm using to fill the tablespoon. So this is obviously going to be a really precise measure. That's a little more than a tablespoon. So then that looks like about 1/2. And you know what? I like cinnamon, so let's just add a little extra. Okay, 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm just gonna fill it halfway because I know how to do math. Might be a little extra, and that's okay. All right, and then this becomes our filling. Just kind of mix this up and get it ready. So this is gonna get spread across. Wait till you see how this goes. There's gonna be, surprisingly, there'll be more butter involved. And there'll be butter that's spread across the dough, and then this bit of magic is gonna be mixed across the dough as well. So sometimes brown sugar gets old and it makes these really, really hard clumps. They would melt in the oven, so I'm not terribly worried about if there's some of those clumps left. But it means a big giant wad of brown sugar in a spot that otherwise I wouldn't want. Okay, I think that's ready, so we'll put that aside, and let's get the dough out of the oven and see how it looks. So, all right, I would say we are doubled in size, which is super dope. This dough is looking really good, actually. So you can see how that looks. Nice and poofy. Let's see what our instructions say. It smells really good too. Okay, so transfer the dough Medium grease bowl did that. Doubled in size, filling, combined sugar, cinnamon, salt, small bowl, removed dough from the oven, transferred to lightly floured counter. All right, we got that, lightly floured. Let's get some more flour out. Lightly floured counter. It's probably a little, that's heavily floured, so let's maybe undo some of that. Lightly floured counter. Why can't I see this? There it is. Roll 18-inch square. Okay. All right, there's my dough. Oh, that's interesting looking. Okay. Let me get the rolling pin. I'll be right back. Don't leave. I'm going to get the rolling pin. You probably can't hear me anymore. All right, I may pause that or something later. Okay. Here we go. So it wants an 18-inch square. Not really sure what 18 inches is going to look like, but I can probably fake it. So this is a really buttery dough, which you remember because you watched me make it, which means it's probably not going to stick too badly. Famous last words. I don't know how to get a square dough instead of a round dough. I'm sure there's a technique that somebody knows. Well, wow, if I was trying to make a round dough, I don't think I could have done better than to make that round. All right, now we're getting a little more rectangular, or I guess square. And rolling this out. Yeah, it's just gonna be sort of oblong. That's just gonna have to be what happens. All right. Good, good, good. I think. Yeah. So here's my 18-inch square. Very, very round looking. But not really getting too wound up about that. All right. I think I'm ready for this to go. Interesting. It's not very even, but that's just going to have to be what it's going to be. All right. Yeah, I might edit this out later. That's not bad, actually. Okay, it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. All right. Got that. Here's my butter. Yet another bit of butter. So this gets spread on. Boink. Throw that away. Somewhere I have a spatula. Yeah. All right, and we just start sort of spreading this around. This is what the topping is going to stick to. Isn't this cool? So there's a stick and a half of butter in the dough, which is not nearly enough butter. So we add this butter to go inside to make all the stuff stick to it. So, you know, butter everywhere is what we're doing. If you don't have an offset spatula, that's what this is. I think it's used most often for frosting cakes, which is not a thing I do very often, but there's, you know, it's like standard kitchen tool thing. There's some things that just get done more easily if you have the right tool. And anything that an offset spatula needs to do is done better than if you had another tool and we're trying to fake it. I am known for not wanting to spend money on, you know, all the gadgets, despite my wooden gadget here. So I often struggle with the wrong tool. But this one is working just fine. There it is. All right, there's our butter. Let's get more out to the side. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Get that all off. Good, good, good. Out of the way. And now we just sort of sprinkle this all over. I might get that spatula back to help me spread this around, or I might not. It might work out fine just with my hand. So then we're just going to take this and spread it all the way to the edge. This is going to be obviously, the layer of cinnamon and sugar in the middle of our cinnamon rolls. So that's super cool. See these big, remember I told you these big knobs of brown sugar, like I said, they'll melt in the oven, but I try to keep them from being too many. There's a few in there. That's okay. That's what happens when brown sugar gets old. So try to get all the way to the edge if you can, because you don't want any rolls that don't actually have cinnamon in them. Otherwise, in the absence of cinnamon, I guess it's technically just a roll then. Then it's just butter and sugar and flour and frosting. We'll do frosting tomorrow. All right, there we are. That's the cinnamon part. Now let's get handy bench scraper, also handy to have. Kind of roll this up and roll this as tight as possible, sort of away from me. Nice. I'll probably speed this part up too. All right. I feel like this dough should be fluffier at this point, although I feel like I always doubt how things are going in the middle. All right, we're losing some cinnamon out the side. That's okay. We will rescue it, bring it back into the middle, and then bring this up and seal it. All right, so there is our cinnamon roll. All right, and we get the, I don't know how I'm gonna make. I think I'm gonna make, am I gonna make 9? Am I gonna make 10, 12? Let's just try this and see what we get. So there's that. I think each one of these can be 1, 2, can be 3. I don't know if they'll all fit in my pan though. I think these are gonna be 2s. There we go. This is really big though. This might be a 3. 2, what the hell? They'll be thick ones. All right, there are the cinnamon rolls, right? So let's get the pan. Pan was prepared earlier. So these guys just go right in here where they will poof up overnight in the fridge. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, cinnamon rolls, looking good. We now wrap these up. And they're gonna go in the fridge for the night, if I can work out the plastic, and I cannot. Computer passwords and cling wrap are the banes of my existence some days. All right, there we have it, cinnamon rolls. They're gonna do their thing in the refrigerator tonight. They will poof out a great deal, and in the morning they go in the oven, and in the morning they get frosted. So, cinnamon rolls. We'll see you in the morning. Good morning, welcome back to Cinnamon Rolls. Now I have to tell you, this may end up being a video about something that didn't work out. So the cinnamon rolls spent the night in the refrigerator as planned, but they didn't rise, and I'm not really sure what's happening there. Anyway, I'll show you. So here they are. They definitely got a little bigger. They should have doubled in size. They might be fine, but they should have doubled in size and really filled out this space. So not really sure why they didn't. I've used this yeast out of the same jar and been successful. It's not expired. The recipe calls for rapid rise yeast, and I used normal yeast, but I've also read that those are relatively interchangeable. And I've used normal yeast in place of rapid rise successfully. So I don't know what's going to happen. That is the fun of baking. So I say that's the fun of baking. Well, at least that's the fun of baking for me, is that sometimes
you never know what's going to happen. So the oven is preheated. These are going to go in the oven. I'm actually not going to make the glaze right now. I'm going to wait till these come out because I don't want to waste making a whole bunch of cream cheese glaze if they're not going to be edible. I think they're going to be okay, but I just wanted to show you that it's not quite what I expected, so we'll see what happens. Now they're going to go in the oven. So they've been actually out of the fridge for a little over an hour, warming up, and they are not puffy, but I don't know. We're going to see what happens. They're going in, I think they go in uncovered, 350, yeah. Okay, remove plastic and bake until buns are deep golden brown and filling is melted. Here we go into the oven. All right, I'll be back soon. We'll see what happens. All right, it's the moment of truth. I have not even peeked in the oven to see what these rolls are doing. So they're either going to be completely unexpanded and unrisen, or magic will have happened in the oven, and we are going to find out together, which I'm super excited about. First, I'm going to get a rack so that I don't burn the counter. The counter's probably fine, but you never know. All right, I'm going to take a look. Well, that turned out just fine. Look at that. They swelled up beautifully. The filling is melted in the way that we wanted to and bubbling down at the bottom. So success with cinnamon rolls. All right, that means that while these cool a little bit, I'm gonna make the cream cheese glaze. So we'll come back for that. Okay, we're back making cream cheese glaze for the successful cinnamon rolls. So confectioner's sugar, which is to say powdered sugar, is going in. This is going to make a little bit of a mess. Hopefully not too much. A little tiny bit of mess. Good, good. And this wants 1.5 cups of confectioner's sugar, which is kind of a lot, but you know, whatever. Half cup measure. So there's a half. Oops, and 1, and 1.5. Clang, clang. Okay. Confectioner sugar continues to make a mess because it just does. This also gets 4 ounces of cream cheese that is softened. So this has been sitting out for a while, so it's super soft. And this is an 8-ounce package. That's good that I wrecked that. Alexa, cancel the timer. I put the cinnamon rolls back in for a couple of minutes. They're great, but I wanted a little bit more color on them. So let me grab those really quickly. There we go. That looks great. Even better after 3 more minutes. Okay. Let's get the cream cheese, which is very soft, and I can't open it. Maybe I should have done this part ahead. There we go. And I'm just going to take half of that. Boink. Goes in with the sugar. Good, good, good. Wrap this back up. And now, obviously, since I have cream cheese, I'm going to have to make bagels. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow morning. I have a great recipe for bagels. Okay, so confectioner sugar, cream cheese, a tablespoon of milk. It says whole milk, which I don't have. I have 2% milk, and I'm just gonna fake the tablespoon. That looks like about a tablespoon. I might end up adding a little bit more, but we'll see. And then a teaspoon of vanilla extract, which I'm also going to fake. Do that at that's about a half. That's a few bit more. Okay, a little vanilla. And in my glaze, I also like a little bit of citrus. If I had an orange, I would use an orange, but I don't, I have a lemon. So just a little bit of lemon zest in there. It's gonna add the littlest bit of lemon flavor to these, which will be awesome. Okay, lemon, check. Now we whisk this slowly together. Not that fast. All right, that's gonna take a minute while I wipe up the confectioner's sugar that just flew all over my kitchen and myself. So that was fun. All right, do I have everything in here? Okay, now I can go a little faster. I think you can see inside there. Maybe you can't. It's coming together very slowly, as we would expect. That's the magic. Nice. All right, I want to scrape down the sides a bit with yet another of my many rubber spatulas. Oh man, this is pure goodness here. It's a lot of lumps from the powdered sugar, so I definitely want to give this a good whipping. Looking even better. Just another scrape down here. So I look at the aftermath of my explosion of powdered sugar. And this does, I didn't put much lemon in there, like, I don't know, half a teaspoon, maybe, if even that, but there's just the littlest bit of lemon flavor. All right, that is ready. Okay, get that out of there. Get this off of here. This is when, yep, that just happened. Pure sugar and cream cheese. Yeah, how could that possibly go wrong? All right, so we are now, while the rolls are hot, this recipe wants me to put one layer on of glaze while the rolls are hot, and that will sink in to the rolls, and then once they've cooled down completely, put another layer on. So here is the roll number one that's going on. Ooh, they look amazing. So, God, I'm so glad. I don't think I mentioned before, most of these I'm giving away. It's my neighbor Chris's birthday. So his wife, Lisa, is sort of had a little surprise for him. She asked a bunch of folks to make cards for him, or I guess get cards for him. I made mine because I didn't have anything else to do, anything else to buy. So they're having a little surprise birthday for him in quarantine today. So I said I would volunteer to donate some cinnamon rolls. So you can see already as it melts, it's sort of melting and soaking down into the roll, which is what we want at this point, because there isn't nearly enough sugar down inside there. We want to make sure we get some more. All right, so these are now going to cool for a little while that frosting seeps inside, and after that I will come back and frost them again. All right, friends, here they are. Cinnamon rolls, look at them. Frosted for the second time, ready to go. This half is going to the neighbor's house. Those will go to my friend Jeff, whose idea this was in the first place, and then these will be mine. I might have one here in a short while. So there it was, cinnamon rolls. They turned out really good. All right, friends, that was quarantine cinnamon rolls with all the butter and all the sugar and all of the cinnamon, and I don't even care. They're gonna be fantastic. I hope life is good wherever you are.